Welcome on in to the 411 podcast. How y'all doing out there tonight? It's Thursday. It is the 1st of September. Here we go. We're into another month. We are getting ready to get into this fall season. Things are getting ready to change. And this is technically the last weekend of summer, but you know how it is. Welcome into the 411. If you're out there on Facebook, I want to say what's up. Thank you so much for joining in. Follow me on Instagram. Check me out on Twitter. Very special thank you to Twitter family out there. Thank you for showing some love. You can check out the experience on YouTube as well at Laren Gaines. And you can get small clips of the show on TikTok and Daily Motion. Very special thank you to D-Live family for hanging out there with me last night. And you can also help support the growing community on Twitch. Again, everything is at Laren Gaines. So we got a very special guest tonight coming in, Echo. I want y'all to really please stick around and share this video because I have a feeling that you're going to get some good information tonight from my special guest. And I'm very curious to learn her story and just hear all about where she's coming from. From what I see so far, very beautiful, talented person, and I can't wait to speak to her tonight. So we'll see what goes on. How are you doing, 16 and Co? Thank you for joining. If you can let me know where you are calling from tonight. And we're going to go ahead and get right on into this song of the day, Sleep at Night, Chris Brown, off of his new album, Breezy, released in 2022. What's going on, G-Star? How you doing? Sleep at Night. So I came across this. I was listening to the new Chris Brown album, and I was like, I'm really not getting any, and I say real because it reminds me of, the traditional R&B. I was like, I really wasn't getting this vibe off of this album. I'm not quite sure where it's going. And then I came across the track Sleep at Night, and I said, no, that's the Chris Brown that I remember. That's the Chris Brown that I remember from, when we take it back to the original. But the message behind the song, when you get to a point where you're just like, I could care less. You do whatever you got to do that makes you sleep at night. I've already moved on. I've already been past this situation. And I get that you might be stuck a little bit. And if you got to be a little petty for a minute, whatever you have to do, just do whatever you got to do to make sure that you can sleep good at night. So then I started to think a little bit more deep into it. And I was like, think about the moments when you did not sleep good at night. Think about the times when you were sitting up, texting, worrying about where somebody else was, tossing and turning because you had no rest at night based off of whatever situation you got yourself in. And then I started to become very happy. I started to become very thankful for the beautiful sleep that I get at night tonight. So this song just, came around full circle. Give me 1 second. Song came around full circle. Chris Brown, Sleep at Night, Breezy, 2022. Check out the new album. But I mean, as far as my perspective on the new album, I didn't really get through the whole thing yet. But that was the first song that actually reminded me of, the traditional R&B. And then I started to think back to the conversation that Timbaland and Diddy was having and Mary when they were speaking about if R&B is dead. Songs like Sleep at Night is a confirmation that, there's some hope there. For some people who might think that it is dead, when you listen to songs like what Chris Brown did, that lets you know that it's still there. But we still got a lot of work to do as far as preserving and making sure that it stays in the forefront, because this new R&B is definitely different from, artists actually going out on stage, belting it out, giving their all. A lot of this stuff is, studio generated and all of this extra stuff that's in it. But anyway, that'll be a conversation for a whole nother day. I want to give a very special thank you to everybody who continues to support and check out Reading Between the Wines 411 podcast. So I had a great Reading Between the Wines show last night with Lisa Thomas. And when I thought back today, it was almost like very refreshing that session with Lisa yesterday and the whole reading between the wine session. So today I'm back and I'm like, yeah, you feel, you know, re energized. Like maybe we need a hell of a lot more reading between the wine sessions. But great conversation with Lisa, all the way from the UK. And yeah, I enjoyed that session yesterday. Check out the replay. Alex Coquito, all the way from Puerto Rico. Thank you so much. He has a show called Midnight Vibes, and I'm his co host. Check him out on his YouTube channel at Alex Coquito. Onyx Blade from New York, appreciate you. Simply Unique LLC. Author Liz Krause, thank you. Roang, all the way from South Korea. Tate Ellington, West Virginia, the Uncommon Podcast. Excuse me, let me make sure I get this right. West Virginia Uncommon Place Podcast. Please go ahead and check that out. For Shayla Jules, friend of the show, thank you. I appreciate you. Miss Seduction Spot. If you need to get your adulting needs on, please go ahead and check out my friend Miss Seduction Spot on Instagram. MISS Seduction Spot. Check her out. And also my friend Miss Shanti Refuge. She has 26 journals to help get your life together in whatever aspect you might be searching for, looking for. She has it all. Please check out my friend Miss Shanti Refuge. So before we get our special guest out here tonight, I see you out there. We're going to have the lovely, talented, beautiful Echo come up real soon. We're going to go ahead and rewind this thing a little bit. Speak about how has the spirit of doubt affected your life. So I spoke, a bit about this last night, and as far as how doubt has affected my life. Some people can look at it and, take it to the positive. Some people can take it and run with it as far as being negative. Of course, doubt is not something that's positive at all. We should not doubt ourselves. We are perfect the way that we are, but it's the imperfections that everybody else puts on us, and then we start to believe it, and then we start to doubt it, and then what we believe becomes reality. So as far as the spirit of doubt, how it's affected my life, in the past, I would say that I always doubted myself. I always was my worst enemy. I never thought anything good of myself, and I was so concerned, super hyper concerned about what other people thought of me. And any little thing that somebody said or I thought they said, it definitely heightened, all of the spirits of doubt and negativity and everything else in my world. But something happened along the way and it changed for the good, because it empowered me to fight that spirit, kick it down, kill it, murder it, do whatever. And all of a sudden I had newfound confidence in myself and changed my mindset to where I pour myself up with a whole bunch of positive to drown out and kill and murder all in the negative. So not saying that doubt does not come across me every now and then, but I'm feeling very confident today that I know how to silence it immediately as soon as I've been playing that record just a little bit too long. So how has the spirit of doubt affected your life? I would say it actually helped me in a positive way. I mean, I was doubting myself and being my own worst enemy for so long that I guess I just got good and sick and tired of myself and finally said, we're going to do something a little bit different. When you hit rock bottom and you really have nowhere else to go and you've been doing it for so many years, it's about time for a change. What's going on, Miss Bethany out there from California? How you doing? So with that being said, I want to ask y'all this question here. Fear versus freedom. So when you have fear, what do you do with fear? Again, you can take it for the negative and run with it and be stuck with it and be negative for however long you want to be until you get good and sick and tired of yourself. And then you can pick yourself up and say, I need to do X, Y, and Z and whatever else I need to do to break free and get some freedom. So here's a little exercise that maybe you all can use in the future. Hell, I'm just, giving you some things that I have done in the past. Write down all of the things that you might claim to fear today. And then start to write your plan as far as what you need to do to conquer this type of fear. The list goes on and on as far as what you might fear. Write it down, and then start to write down a plan as far as what you can do to conquer this. Mm. A plan to break free. It's a break free plan. As I sit back and I think, and I'm like, think about the things that I wrote down, 2 years ago, 2020. And when I open it up and I look at it today, I'm wow. So those things that we said we wanted no more, that we feared, that we wanted to overcome, that we wanted to conquer, a lot of those things no longer exist. So there's a power in writing things down. And I love when I write things down, I think about it, I pray on it, deep thought, deep meditation, deep conversation about it. I put it away. And then I come back and I look at it, 6 months, a year later, and I actually am amazed myself at some of the things that I have been able to conquer. I've been able to drown out. I've been able to eliminate in my life. So, fear versus freedom. I choose to have freedom today, and I choose not to live in fear because I lived in fear for so many years. And listen, like I said before, once you get sick and tired of being sick and tired of yourself, you will actually stand up and do something just a little bit different. But everybody has their own journey and their own breakthroughs. I'm just sharing mine with you. Well, welcome on into the 411. Hello.
Welcome. I think I was lagging. Hi. How you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. My the dog is in the background. She's playing, so you might hear her around.
What kind of?
But
what
I
kind?
was actually really appreciating your intro. The prelude into this conversation about doubt and how it could impede somebody's growth or actually detain them from encapsulating their full potential at some point. I deal with a lot of imposter syndrome, and that is part of like my dilemma in my growth has been feeding into what one would say the haters, but in my case, my bullies. Over the years, like when I gained weight out of nowhere, right? I'm just gonna. I'm probably like rushing into everything, but in 2015, I was in a car accident, and it really that's when my healing actually started, because before then I was just like functional. How everybody says, like, you got over it, so just get on with your life, wake up, go to work, pay bills, go party with your friends, be lit. That's kind of like how it is, right? Just like escapism, basically, like, but mutual escapism, so social escapism, right? So numb ourselves to ourselves so we don't have to fix ourselves. It's kind of like always the medicine that we hear prescribed from everybody, like, in order to get over it, just, go out and have fun, right? But that has its pros and cons. But as far as like my car accident, I had 5 different procedures. I had full rotator cuff repair. I had my full meniscus repair, ACL repair, and the same knee. I have a clenched hip, a jammed right hip. To this day, it like loosening up and everything like that. And I used to dance too and be a lot more athletic. So that has definitely, being forced to sit still against your will really puts things into perspective, and how much we also take for granted our bodies, really, and its functionality until we can't, right? Because at one point I couldn't even use the bathroom for like a good year, actually, until I got my epidurals. I was not able to use the bathroom because you need your hip in the pelvic area in order to push in your bladder, So it was very uncomfortable for me. And again, that was in 2015, so I came a long way, right? So it's just like a long journey. As far as doubt comes into that, is you start to doubt if you're able to heal at some points, because the pain is so unbearable. The physical pain of it, not even the mental or emotional pain that comes from something. Even aside from that car accident, my life has been crazy. I'm just starting with that car accident because it's the most recent hurdle I've been able to overcome, and a lot of doubt has come into that because with rehabilitation and being able to use your limbs again, you sort of want to give up because pushing through that pain is just easier, and that's why a lot of disabled people, when that they're disabled off of accidents, you see them, if they were really active, kind of like afterwards, just give into the pain pills and kind of like live off of disability in a I would say in a spirited way, right? Like it just feels like they have such a huge disconnect with their body, and that comes from doubt in physical therapy through pushing through that you can even repair. Like this can be something that I have the power to connect to and overcome my own nervous system. They always say that, if you nerve damage is one of the worst things because it's irreparable at this point unless you get major surgery over and over, and that causes more nerve damage. So even like I wanted to give up at some points a lot. Actually, I still kind of do. But in 2017, that's when not just my physical therapy and everything really took a hold. I had gained about, I think, like over 50 pounds out of nowhere because of stress and because of ovarian cyst, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. And I was in a 10-year relationship. I lived with him for 7. So that was not good because that partnership was already ending, and it's basically 10 years is a long time, especially living together, cohabitating for 7 years, and with the amount of everything going on. In that particular case, I was dealing with racism too, actually, because my ex-partner is white and his mother's boyfriend, this is around the Trump, 2017, right? He started doing things like being a bully to me and my friends. But he knew how to do it, like it was always like that polite racism, and then it kind of like, so he felt comfortable enough to be blatant.
Like a little joke and stuff, and a joking.
Yeah. And actually, I should have been a red flag, when they be like, oh yeah, I know somebody who's Dominican, a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, 3 times removed is, like that type of stuff. Or I know somebody, that was a red flag. That should have been one.
Hang on 1 second, because we are going on and on. I want to let everybody know where you were calling from. So I want to back up a little bit before we get into your story. So let everybody know.
Just like into that
That's okay.
I guess
where are you calling from tonight?
I'm in Amityville, Long Island, actually.
Oh, okay. Oh, I drove past that plenty of times, and you don't live in the house, do you?
No. No.
Do you live in
that house? I think somebody actually bought it. If I'm not mistaken, I know they always had issues with people stopping and stuff. They have like trespassing.
Well, they changed the street. Excuse me. They changed the numbers around on that street so that people would stop going and trying to visit it and all of that crazy stuff. So the original number that it was is completely changed around. But if you know where it's at, you'll still be able to find it. But anyway,
definitely. And it was there's on YouTube people who have gone and done tours before they bought it and renovated it and everything. So they did also renovate the house as well, the outside. So
it doesn't look like yeah. Do you live anywhere near it?
Not so far. It's actually more by the high school. So there's that. I'm more because Amityville is divided into 2 sections, which is like North Amityville and South Amityville, and I'm somewhere in the middle of everything. Okay. So, but it's like not too far, not too close type of situation, you know. But I would say a lot of people, I think, like to romanticize the idea of ghost stories when it comes to tragedy too, because I mean that murder was real and everything like that. So I'm not trying to deny the scariness, like spirits and everything. I believe in that, but I just think that the overglorification of it, making it seem like it's like this super evil place, and you know, things like that. Like of course, this is for money making, so and entertaining. It is a great movie. So
okay.
I don't know if the sequel, so
I watched it. It was good. All right, so now we get back into your story, Miss Echo, all the way from Long Island, New York.
I
Shout.
am originally from Dominican Republic. I am an immigrant, so I do come from a immigrant perspective. I have lived both in this country and in Dominican Republic,
Mm-hmm.
so I understand culture shock and also doubt that coming into play as far as identity is concerned. In an immigrant way. Circle back around to the topic, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know where you belong, because like when I was over there, they kind of was always like, get back over there, tú eres de Nueva York, tú eres una gringa, like I was a gringa out there, but out here, I'm like, it's big. It's like, and I did have to deal with, like, again, that's kind of like the language I had to deal with in 2017 that kind of led me to give up on myself out of anger. I had like a carry moment actually, and this is like where I had like a huge, when you have like a catalytic moment where you need to change your life, and it's like do or die at that point. This was my carry moment. I call that carry moment. Like, when she has the blood dripping on her, and she just had enough, and she tried to be the most kindest, sweetest person, and she just took everything and tried to humanize people and give people, and it was no reprieve, right? She went home, it was home. She went to school, it was in school. She went to the street, it was in the street. So that's kind of
no
my life lesson, and nowhere to go. That moment, I was like 27, 28. It led up to, and it was due to a racist situation. I was playing dominoes with my cousin and one of my friends from middle school, and I knew this was not geared toward my cousin, and because she's usually there, and there is, don't get me wrong, things that happen, like comments and stuff like that, but it's not usually as bad as it was this night. And I knew it's because my friend is super Nubian, and gorgeous Nubian woman, by the way, and I could not handle it. That was my final straw, because if I'm having guests in my home, just like my home is supposed to be a place that I'm supposed to feel safe, secure, healthy, away from the world. Right? The world is such an unsafe place. It's the one place I should feel the most healthiest and safest. So sure, the people that come through that threshold, they're my guests. As my guest, I am responsible for their well-being. I don't care who you are. You are my guest. I grew up under those connotations, it's like the Caribbean thing, right? Like, down a cup of coffee, like, my grandma used to always be like that. Like, she used to cook for like 30 people that might or might not come, just in case that she had guests, and she could serve them, and they would always have a full stomach, something to quench their thirst before they left. That is an honor for her to do that. And I picked up on that type of it's really diplomacy, isn't it? Like old school, right?
Okay.
It's when people say traditional and like we need to get back into gender roles and everything like that. They don't talk about respect or chivalry, like how it is, like how that type of feeling is. Like my grandma was a by the Bible wife. She was. My grandparents were married over 55 years before my grandfather, around over 53 for sure. I know that for a fact. And 5 o'clock in the morning, she'd get up, do her prayers, go about the house, have breakfast made. By the time breakfast was made, she was already working on lunch, kind of thing. She raised 12 kids and over 40 something grandkids. So I have 23 aunts and uncles, probably 21 that are alive. So over 80 to 100 cousins, because there's still, what they say about Dominicans.
That's a lot.
That's to include that. Like, I come up from a huge family, so a lot of the things that happened to me didn't happen under a microscope. It happened under like a huge lens, right? My father, rest in peace, was recently murdered. Actually, in December 2020. He got hit by a stray bullet in a massacre. It's been a year and like 7 months. Some guy decided, and I always say this: my father was murdered by fragile, toxic masculinity. I'm not one to. I've come a long way in my own growth as far as like feminism and everything. growing up, I had a lot of reasons to hate men, be scared of men, and I played into that a lot. I'm 33 years old now, and I've grown and matured into my perspectives a lot off of meeting men who are not the same, right? Men who show up and are honorable and have integrity, character, everything like that. And also being related to some of them. My father being one, even though he's also a major reason for a lot of, because he was big on when I was younger. He was huge machismo, you know, because we're straight from the island, so like 1950s Old Testament type of mentality. You know, I'm his only daughter and I'm the oldest, so that just the eldest child syndrome totally comes down to me. And doubt, again, this also plays into parenting too, because if he had more confidence in his implementing his strategy as a parent and less doubt in the world and in, you know, us, I guess, as kids, we would have came out a lot more healthier, I think.
Maybe he
because
was.
he implemented a lot of corporal punishment.
Yeah, he was dealing with probably. I'm not going to speak on it because I don't know. But typically, when things get passed down, you know, I spoke about this last night. It's typically because of something that the parents have gone through, or some of your ancestors have gone through some things, and you don't even know why you
No,
had.
I'm very honored to God and the ancestors to actually have been able to work out a lot of my problems with my father right before his death. Actually, we were going to have a podcast. His idea. He was an entertainer for about 30 something years, and he has a couple albums in like Latin, Spanish love songs and stuff. He was a huge romantic. But he wanted to show the world what healing looked like with his family. Like, because me and him, we did not speak for 12 years because of our ideologies different. Like, I'm a huge feminist and he's a huge Catholic, you know, alpha male thing, you know. So I got excommunicated and disowned from my family at 14 years old for basically a CPS case. A friend of mine during gym went to the gym teacher and told the gym teacher that she should probably check me out, right? And the gym teacher saw these welts on my back, and it was obviously belt welts. And I couldn't unexplain it. It was just all over my back and my thigh and everything like that. And CPS started, right? So coming from such a huge immigrant family where everything gets handled by the honor system, by respectability politics and everything like that, it kind of like is always supposed to be handled in home, you know, reputation and, you know, we don't talk about those things. And huge, you know, and again, I'm a first-born Dominican, West Indian, you know, Caribbean person. So it is all generational trauma, like Dr. Joy DeGruy says, post-traumatic slave syndrome. And my father admitted as much because I had a huge talk to him about our ancestors and also, you know, working out in the sugarcane fields, working in tobacco fields, coffee fields. Like, we only think slavery in the context of continental United States, but the Caribbean is ground zero for slavery. You know, it's happened 400 years before the United States was even a 13 colonies. So a lot of, like, unresolved trauma comes from the Caribbean, actually. Because even Latin America, Central America, Mexico, they get a lot more, I guess, illumination as to what happened. But the Caribbean is still being commoditized for leisure and pleasure and everything like that. So it's not affordable to talk about the Caribbean's role in healing in the diaspora, right? Because they're still being used for sexual tourism, which the first sexual tourist location ever was Santo Domingo, the city I'm born, ironically enough. I'm saying ironically enough because of how my life turned out. Because I was groomed into sexual slavery at 14 when I did run away. I ran away from people, and it was just crazy. Again, I'm 33 now, so I believe that my life has led up to this point so I could speak out, not just for my ancestors' pain, because they went through human trafficking, they went through genocide, they went through religious persecution. They went through so much being Taino, being West African myself, being Latina. And Latina is my full recognition of my European ancestry too. For anybody who thinks like I'm not aware, like I'm part white. Being Latin in itself is European. because there are only 5 Latin countries in the world. That's Italy, Rome, Romania, France, the French, Portugal, and Spain. Those are the 5 Latin countries. So when somebody is referred to as Latin or Latino, it just should automatically be assumed and or noted that they are of European mixture. You know, because I have received a lot of hate too for saying that I see myself as a Black woman, because I do. Not just because 3/4 of my grandparents are Black, but my father's Black, and my mom comes from a Black woman. But because my ancestors are, they're also Native American. I don't disown any part of myself, because encapsulating all of myself is how I feel all of them in my genetic coding. I can't pick who I am. That's like God made me this way for a reason, right? But going back to human slavery, and I know this all starts from Tao. I also wanted to make a quote, because Tao is actually the reason philosophy even exists, or really like a huge thing. Like Rene Descartes has said, I doubt, therefore I think, therefore I am. Doubt is the precipice to curiosity. Curiosity is the precipice to knowledge, because you want to seek answers, and answers come more questions. So it's like it's a part of intellectual growth, and being able to stimulate oneself is through doubt and curiosity. I did just want to note that, but I feel very attached to my ancestors, especially learning what they went through firsthand from Columbus, because even in Columbus's own diaries, he noted how kind, not that thing, but kind and benevolent and charismatic they were, and they were like so free, and like, my home is your home, and that type of, they were known as good people, right? But he saw them as good, obedient slaves, like something to take advantage of their kindnesses. Maybe that's where we start, getting the doubt of people who are too kind and everything like that, because we think that they're up to something, or being, whatever. That's another subject for another day, I think. But he was the first human trafficker on this side of the globe that we know of, written historically. I don't want to be disingenuous in saying that the Native Americans, in the Carib and otherwise, the other thousands of nations, because we only know 500 nations here in the continental United States. But
you only know what's half of the time. Half of the time, we only know what's being told to us.
Exactly, right. So what we know, we don't know what we don't know, right? So what we do know is that he decided to take a portion of the people who helped him and helped his people back to Spain as not just slaves, but sexual slaves, and that is still something that's persistent today. If you go and see in Dominican Republic, it's like the #1 sexual spot to go to. The #1, you want to get your rocks off, you go to DR. And it's like next to like the Philippines and Thailand and everything for sexual slavery, sexual pleasure tourism. And I know I'm a rabbit hole talker. Like, I don't know how to do small talk or anything.
I want people to know who you are, because you obviously have a story to tell. So it started right from when we started here. So I don't want to have it drowned out by not letting people know who you are. So if you can take the time to let us know where you're calling from again, and where everyone can, follow you at, and what you actually do to help support some of these causes that you are bringing up here tonight. And before we do that, I want to say what's up to King Trey. I see you out there in West Virginia, the Uncommon Place podcast. Thank you so much to everybody out there who has been listening. We have Miss Echo in the building here tonight. So go ahead and let us know a little bit about you and your, the causes that you support.
Well, I have been doing podcasting, and even with my little mental health break, since 2010. So I've always tried to advocate in all of my discussion and discourses with people, and bring perspective through that. I definitely am an emerging spoken word artist as well. But mostly, I don't know how to define myself, because sometimes I always say people, I think most want to say say hi. You want to say hi, Chris?
I was going to ask you earlier. I was trying to ask you what kind of dog you have.
A pit bull. Okay, you want to say hi? Come here. You want to say hi? No, she just wants to play with her toy. Okay, she's a pit bull. Let me see if she wants to say hi. Say hi. You say hi, girl. You not have this. I think that's her way of saying hi. Yeah. But she's only 7-8 months actually.
I love other people's dogs. I can smile and be cute at other people's dogs. You want to know why? Because I have nothing to do with it. I ain't walking the dog.
Okay, like kids, right? Yeah. Like, oh yeah, I love your kids, but they're not coming home with me. God bless them. But yeah, I'm a personality, I guess. I guess that's the only way to say I'm a personality. I started doing club promotions 18, to like 20 something. I was a bartender. I was a dancer for a while. I've done a little bit of everything. All different types of dancing, not just erotic dancing, but also I do that. I'm an adult entertainer. I'm online adult entertainer. I am a fluidist. Like I said, I do podcasting. I have a show with a co-host, Rox Morals, every Sunday on Facebook, and I will put on the links, where I will send the links to you, so you can put up. It's called Unaltered Sapiens, and it's like basically like your show here. We're open-end discussions, where we could explore different, understandings and kind of like be able to, even if we don't agree with everything when it's saying, be able to have a safe space to be heard.
I think it's funny when it says don't agree. I think we all would be in such a better place if we stop trying to agree on everything and realize that everybody lives in their own truth, and whatever you believe in is what you believe in, and what I have going on in my own world, that's what's going on. Like, I don't have to enter in your world and you don't have to enter in mine. We just have our opinions and we live our lives the way we live it. Because once somebody believes something, and when I mean believe it, there is nothing that you can do to change that situation. The best thing that you can do
is honestly, you can want somebody to explore themselves and be able to get to conclusions on their own. That's like kind of like the point, right, of challenging and perspectives and having somebody who doesn't agree with you, so you could challenge your own biases and see how it fits. But
it's a good way to test the ego too, because the ego will jump in and have you feel in a certain way when somebody doesn't agree with you or on the same page as you.
Word, actually, it's like the humbling mechanism a lot of the time.
With all that you have going on, all that you are doing, what are you? Okay.
I do want to plug in. There is a comic book series coming out thanks to Tag Studios, and big shout out to Curtis Taz Williams, because he is the author and illustrator of it. In collaboration, it's called Preview, and it's based on my likeness, about intergalactic, cosmic hero warrior. That goes into different planetary systems and helps solve issues and community.
Well, I definitely want to get a copy of that when it comes out. I love comics and cartoons and all that, so please keep me posted on that when that's out.
And thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So with all of this, you just added a couple more layers on here. What are your top 3 priorities that you are focusing on in your world today?
I guess recalibration is number one. Being far in my healing, I had came a long way when my father was killed, actually, and that shattered everything that I had thought I had solidified, and I was like resilient enough to carry on. Even after he died, I worked for like another 8 months. I was working with hospitals, hospices, and funeral services from 2019 to 2021. Like, I would say October, September 2021. So through the whole pandemic, I was, like 911 dispatcher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I was that for hospitals, funeral services, and hospices and stuff. So the pandemic was like, you learn a lot during a global pandemic, I think, about self and other people and humility, compassion, and also having doubt in oneself, even surviving, you know. But I just had an emotional break, and I didn't have the most conducive environment or the most understanding environment to completely let my guard down for a long time, and then I was able to find some reprieve, but then that also kind of like, I don't know what happened to it. But so right now I'm kind of like what one calls a struggling artist or whatever. I'm in that phase of trying to pick up the rubble and refragment things to solidify new ground and stand on that. Sometimes we say that when you rebuild from the rubble, it stands stronger than the original foundation because you have more to pack,
Yeah,
like compact.
I mean, experience is a good teacher. So anybody who's been through something, um, you come out better on the other end.
Yeah, and then my second priority is to find my purpose through not just my brand, because even when I started my OnlyFans was not meant to like specifically be for porn. I already had a platform before that. Like I was started cosplaying in 2016. I was on Patreon before OnlyFans was a thing,
Oh
and that
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
not anything like that. I've done like cosplaying, modeling. Also, I've been in the industry since I was a child. Actually, my dad had me in agencies. He had me in like charm schools, things like that. I've been preyed on in the industry itself. That's actually the situation I found myself in. It's very deep, like the rabbit hole. I'm not like trying to whatever, but photographers could be predators as well, and a lot of parents should be. I want to also cover on that, like how to see if a photographer is trying to get close to their child or it's not. Because I had a photographer keep tabs on me from like 12 years old, like when I was 17, and then try to get me into barely legal. So it was a lot of and then an entire time pretending to be a family friend. So things like that, Hi,
Wow.
yes, Mocha, yes. Where's your toy? Where's your toy? Yeah, because she's over here like paying attention to me a little bit too hard. But things like that, like I've had to like endure and overcome, and also keep to myself because it's scary. And doubt comes into that. No one wants to be believed in that essence. Like I'm not going to be believed because they already don't believe me for the things that I do talk about and the things I already vocalize and everything like that. But things like that is trying to find my purpose through my pain, I guess, but also make a life, basically a new life from that. And again, I've always had a platform since like 2010 when I started doing internet radio on a channel called Night Lounge Radio, and I had a show called CEO Radio, and then I was a guest co-host on another one called Stock Radio.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hip hop. It was underground artists interviewing up and coming artists and everything like that, giving them a platform to be heard, even if it's like nobody listening. It's just a way to like get their feet wet type of stuff, And then Strong Island TV. Had 2 shows. I was on 2 shows. Night Shift Radio. It was like 2012, 2013, and then Strong Island Weekly, which I think it was 2014 or something like that. So I've been trying to kind of like, and none of this was on purpose, by the way. I've always kind of like been in the life, like I said, like I've always kind of like been around all this type of scenarios and stuff. And just recently, I just figured like should take this probably seriously. This is probably something that has to do with my purpose, right? Like even with the OnlyFans and everything like that, I wanted to depict a woman getting her groove back, right? Like going from broken and basically self-defeating, disparaged, full of doubt, full of uncertainty, super scarred up, because my scars have healed up a lot over the years too. I've lost over 45 pounds in the past 3 years. I've been able
Congratulations.
to regulate my hormones at least a lot. But in 2017, when I said I had my carry moment, I did go into a suicidal rage moment, and I severed a tendon in my right hand, so I cannot even
Yeah.
my at all. But I believe this is why I say like doubt in physical therapy. My finger used to be up here, like even when I closed my hand, it used to be like this, like all this, and I couldn't move it at all. But a couple years later, whatever, and I could
Well, you
move
know,
it. You know, they would say I need surgery to reconnect it in order to use it again. But I believe that
one a good
through
one a good side about it. Good thing it wasn't your middle finger, because you know people will be thinking.
yeah. No, people have mistaken because out of nowhere, you know, you kind of like you can't tell. So it's like, oh no, I'm sorry, I have a paralyzed finger,
Yeah,
and
that's funny.
every single time I get mad, I look down. You know, it's a reminder like this is the outcome of being overwhelmed and not standing up for myself enough and letting things like bottle up and having doubt that even will be heard, but it's like speak out even if you're not heard. You know, like do something about it before it gets too overwhelming, and then it overwhelming gets you right. So in 2017, that was my turnaround point. And I also, instead of taking pills, because I used to take E and everything like that from like 17 to I would say 20, like around there. So I stopped. I have like I would say 12 years sober, 13 years sober, or something like that. I didn't want to take painkillers for my surgeries, so I started drinking. And really drinking a lot. So this was also a recurrence of like heavy alcoholism. It was they said it was a drunk induced psychosis or something like that. Like I had a break, but again, it was not even for me. I'm standing up for my friend because I'm not gonna let anybody. And again, like with I'm the type of person that if you're in my house, especially, you're going to be protected because I know like not have that. So and she even asked me, she's like, yo, Andrew, she calls me Andrew, don't even sweat it, like, I'm here for you, please, like, you know, let's ignore this guy, because it was to the point that even being on the lawn, or it'd be like, oh, I'm going to call the cops, and this entire thing, it's just like, we're on my side of the lawn type of stuff, you know, that type
That
of
is
energy.
something else.
So when she left, I finally confronted him. I probably should have done it sober in the next day, right? So I just, his audacity just made me break into like my entire life I've had to deal with people like this. My entire life I've had to deal with people who are bullied like this. And in my own home as well, like it just kind of like made me think back at all the times I wasn't safe, I wasn't able to think properly defend myself, had to like give in, you know, to doubt of myself to be able to defend myself. And it just came out in a huge, I think it's called like a supernova thing, where I was ready to die. I thought I wasn't going to make it out of there alive, honestly, because I was just so fed up with the evil in the world, I would say, like unhealthiness. Unhealthy is evil. That's just how if people want to know what evil looks like, it's toxicity. It is unhealthy patterns, unhealthy coping mechanisms. It is the inability, apathy is evil. You know, the absence of having any type of humanity, any warmth, any emotional discipline, regulation, and depth and nuance is evil. That's what it's not just violence, it's not just hurt people. You know, I think it's the absence of even caring at all what happens is evil. Disregarding, disrespecting, all that.
We might have to do another part because we are up against the clock now.
But this would definitely join me on mine. We could definitely cross network. I don't have a lot of space to be able to talk and articulate like this, and I'm a super loner, and I'm trying to like definitely my third priority, re-socialize and find my tribe, or create one. You know,
I'm glad that we were able to allow you to be yourself here on a 411 podcast. That's what it's about. People coming in and, you know, sharing their story. But you have a lot. You have a lot to tell. And when I spoke about earlier, writing things down, one of my recommendations for you is to get a journal, start to write some of your thoughts down. That way you can put them in a different categories. You can put them into spaces and then attack them that way, you know. Um, and then you never know. You can spend a whole bunch of time on one specific category, one specific topic, and work your way through that way. Just
I
my
know
my thing.
from You know what was crazy? Because I am a writer actually, and I'm writing a book series. I've been writing since I was 11 years old. But not a lot of people know that. Just a couple of my friends, and again, I just recently started doing spoken word. And spoken word is not the same as the written word, right?
Mm-hmm.
It goes hand in hand, but spoken word comes from sometimes the heart, and that it goes hand in hand. But I, you ever had an idea, right? And everything is so good up here. And then once you see that paper and you put that paper to the pen or even start typing, it kind of feels like it starts running away from you and you're kind of like, no, come back. That happens to me with writing a lot. So I've been finding out that my writing style is intuitive. So journaling is not as easy because it has to be something that is like emotionally inspired. If not, then it actually causes more anxiety than anything because it's a personality thing. I've been getting into PI and Jungian psychology, which archetypes and how our brain is wired in neuroscience as well. So you ever heard of neuroplasticity actually? Because we're talking about healing and ways to we were talking about that earlier actually. How to implement different coping mechanisms and stuff in our path, what has helped us as far as like our personal medicine. Neuroscience, believe it or not, is a great place to start because we don't look at our brain wrong. We do not. We always want to, and we look at our mind in, I guess, like a metaphorical way,
Mm-hmm.
but not in the actual physical way. And how our body is actually our second brain, like our entire organism. Like, our gut especially is a good reason for how it stores emotion. And our muscle memory, what we call muscle memory, and pushing it back to our heads, like things like that happen to us, just push it to the back of it. No, it goes to your gut. It goes to your nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system, and that regulates on your mind.
Oh,
and that could create a huge impact. Being
the thoughts that we have. The thoughts that we have are basically life and death, and the things that we speak out of our mouth is basically life and death too. So everything that you believe and that you speak over your life, and the things that you are thinking becomes reality, and that's what the Bible says. A man is what he thinks. So, and on that note, I try to think very positive today because back in the day, I was not always this positive being. So, and I really hate to cut you short, but it is time for us to get up out of here tonight. And I do appreciate you for coming on. Say hello, but I do appreciate you for coming on, and we definitely, have to finish this as well. So
yeah, thank you for having me on and giving me a space to speak. And I do have a lot going on, so don't even feel bad. Like, trust me, I don't. I'm starting to learn how to compact it, and this is new to me again because this is the first time in a long time that Mami, yo dicen no, this is the first time I ever tried to be real public with it, not just like,
just like so. Some advice that I would have is just one piece at a time, one piece at a time. So give everybody just one piece at a time. You got a lot, and when I say a lot, you can't your whole life. What you've been, you said 30 some odd years old. You can't give it to people and at one shot. You gotta give it to them in small doses.
Oh no, that's impossible.
Right. Right.
Ella quiere decir Bendiga, hola.
Yeah.
She's trying to say hi. Her voice, she's scared of her. But I was gonna say no, that's impossible. Actually, I try to do the opposite. I try to give as least as possible, but sometimes it feels like impossible because of how deep it is, you know. And I always get because I have some TBI, my articulation is a little long-winded and slow. Because I'm trying to also visualize it and put it in the most perfect place possible without having my teeth inside of me come away. So it's a lot. But at the same time, I don't want to trigger people either and overwhelm them because they already have their own things going on and their own dilemmas. Okay, sorry.
It's
So
okay.
let y'all go.
Yeah.
Thank you for keeping me on, and so the next time, because we have both really great perspectives. I feel like even if two different styles and everything, but for the sake of humanity, we have the same goal in mind, right? Like actual healing and expansion of our humanity.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, take care. Thank you so much and enjoy. Good night. Take care. All right, there. Thank you all so much for joining in tonight. That was Miss Echo coming in tonight. I see. Oh my goodness. Starts with an R. Oh, I know your name starts with an R. But thank you so much for joining from Canada, I believe. Can you please drop your name in the comments so that I know? And on that note, I got to get out of here. Thank you so much. If you want to support the 411 podcast and Reading Between the Wines, please go ahead and click the link above all of my social media platforms and go inside of Volume 1.5 Deliberation Remix Journal, a 30-day transformational journey. I knew, Ronell. Ronell Patrick, there you go. 30-day transformational journey towards a healthier mindset. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. And of course, I have to give thanks to the Almighty, the ultimate, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for allowing me to come out here and give y'all the 411 podcast one more time in life, because without him, none of this will be possible. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you when I see you. Take care, y'all. Have a good night. Take care.